with a big bang.
Penny and Leonard, the pretty girl next door and the lovable nerd across the hall. On paper, it's a classic will they, won't they romance. On TV, it's the emotional core of the Big Bang Theory. They flirt, they fight, they marry. And by the end of the 12 seasons, they're the show's ultimate love wins couple. But here's a hot take. What if Penny and Leonard shouldn't have ended up together? What if, despite all the build-up, they were never a good match to begin with? And what if they might be one of the worst endgame couples in sitcom history? Let's talk about it.
Ranking of relationships in our circle by quality is me and Amy, Howard and Bernadette, Raj and his girlfriend, Penny and Chardonnay.
Now, before anyone boos me, just know I have thought about it. I've gone back and forward. At times I felt like I'm over-exaggerating, but after some more thought, I'm back on my decision. The problem isn't that they are just a bad couple. It's how they are framed to be. For those who don't know, The Big Bang Theory is an American sitcom which aired from 2007 to 2019, running for 12 seasons with just over 200 episodes. Though it was initially critically acclaimed, as the show progressed, it kind of lost its flavor with the general public, becoming almost a kind of joke. I wasn't someone that watched the show regularly when it was on air, but going through most of the shows on Netflix, The Big Bang was suggested to me, and I thought, why not?
What are you going to do? Take people's drink orders and get them wrong? Do it. What, did she do it yet?
In my honest opinion, the show isn't nearly as bad as people made it out to seem. I think it was just another case of something being so popular that for some reason after a while people just turn on it. For the most part, the characters are fun to watch and are somewhat relatable. They generally have a nice chemistry, and I love the late addition of Amy and Bernadette.
Place that has Australian male strippers.
We want to see if they twirl their junk in the other direction.
The show had some genuine moments, and it was actually funny at times. Like, they got a little chuckle out of me every now and then. But with the show playing in the background, sometimes it would catch my attention, and I realized I have some thoughts on the relationships. On the show, there are three main couples, Amy and Sheldon, which I would say are actually my favorite. Even though I didn't find Sheldon as lovable as most, the relationship was actually pretty cute and wholesome to me. I appreciate the very slow burn and how they love and express their love for each other in their own specific, unique way.
Excuse me, you're not supposed to be enjoying this.
Then maybe you should spank me harder.
They were mostly patient and caring with each other. I enjoyed watching them grow and support each other, pushing each other to be better and out of their comfort zones. I also kind of enjoyed watching Howard go from this annoying sex pest to a character that I didn't mind him opening his mouth as much, thanks to his relationship with Bernadette.
Now, I can't imagine spending one day of it without you.
Raj was also cute, and hot take, he deserved to find love in the end. It's something that he was very clear he wanted, and it's kind of weird how dismissive the show was about his love life in comparison to the others. Even with his last breakup, it didn't get that much weight, and I don't think I appreciate that.
What? I am unlovable. Why can't I ever have love?
And then there's Penny and Leonard, arguably the central couple of the show. And boy, oh boy, do I have some thoughts. But before I dive in, let's have a little recap on the relationship and get you guys up to speed.
Oh, hi.
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 Season 1, Meet Cute. Leonard and Penny's story begins in the very first episode when Penny moves into the apartment across the hall from Leonard and Sheldon. From the moment he meets her, Leonard is completely smitten, charmed by her warmth, beauty, and confidence. Penny, on the other hand, sees Leonard as a sweet, geeky neighbor and a friend. Romance isn't even on her radar at first.
I swear to God, I am done with guys like that.
What about me?
But about you, what?
Throughout most of the first season, Leonard harbors a quiet, persistent crush on Penny while she dates a series of tall, conventionally attractive men, essentially the polar opposite of Leonard. Despite Sheldon's frequent reminders that he has no chance, Leonard remains hopeful and tries to impress her with small acts of kindness.
You understand that our efforts here will in no way increase the odds of you having sexual congress with this woman.
While the first season primarily introduces the core friendship group, a significant portion of the storyline focuses on Leonard's love for Penny. There are a few key moments that hint at deeper feelings between them. One is after Penny's Halloween party, where a tipsy Penny tries to make a move, but Leonard, not wanting to take advantage, turns her down.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
Just a lot.
And later, in a more meaningful moment, Penny throws Leonard a birthday party, something he has never had before. And when he ends up missing most of it, she comforts him with a gentle kiss, which they both consider as their first real kiss.
I'm so sorry you didn't get your party.
It's okay.
Well, happy birthday anyways.
By the season finale, following another breakup, Penny finds herself once again disappointed in her love life and confides in Leonard.
What about if you went out with me? Guess what?
Yes, I will go out with you.
In a moment of courage, Leonard finally asks her out, and to his surprise, Penny says yes. It's the first real step towards something more than just friendship, setting the foundation for the relationship. Season 2, we tried, kinda.
What do you mean when you said you were going to miss me?
After their first official day at the end of season 1, things don't quite take off the way they might have hoped it had. They quickly decide that it's not going to work out and agree to go back to just being friends. The decision mostly stems from an awkward moment when Leonard accidentally confirms Penny's insecurity, that she might not be smart enough for him, which understandably puts a wedge between them.
So it's fine with you if I'm not smart.
Absolutely.
Throughout the season, both of them try to move on. Leonard briefly dates Leslie Winkle, a colleague for work, and Penny pretends she's unbothered, but it's clear that seeing Leonard with someone else forces her to rethink things. Slowly, she starts to warm up to the idea that maybe they could be more than friends after all. For most of the season though, it feels like that ship has sailed. Their timing is off, the insecurities linger, and any progress seems to be stuck in limbo. But in the season finale, something shifts.
Missing you is an emotional state you find desirable.
Yes.
Leonard is preparing to leave for a science expedition to the North Pole. As he gets ready to go, Penny surprises him with a heartfelt gift, a blanket with sleeves. She gives him a long, lingering hug, one that makes Leonard pause and wonder if it meant something else. But when he asks, Penny brushes it off, saying it's just a going away present. But the truth comes out when she closes the door behind him. Quietly, almost to herself, she whispers,
Means I wish you weren't going.
it's the first time we see Penny admit, to herself at least, that her feelings for Leonard runs deeper than she's willing to admit. And just like that, the foundation is laid for what's to come in season 3.
I guess I'll see you.
Okay. Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Season 3, let's make it official, first relationship.
I wish that she had just broken up with me right there. Put me out of my misery. She strung me along for almost 2 years.
As soon as Leonard returns from his science expedition, Penny greets him with a passionate kiss, and just like that, they're officially back on.
I missed you so much.
I missed you too.
I couldn't think of anyone else while you were gone.
Me neither.
Leonard even brings her a preserved snowflake from the North Pole, a surprisingly sweet and thoughtful gift that shows just how deeply he cares. After a quick detour to Texas to bring Sheldon back home, Leonard and Penny finally consummate their relationship. And in true Big Bang fashion, they both admit afterwards that the experience was,
Nothing bad. Just that last night was fine.
Fine? You said it was fine?
very mid, basically. For a brief moment, they consider going back to just being friends, but literally a few seconds later, they fall back into each other's arms and try again.
So we'll just be friends.
Good.
Trying to be like me and my man. Okay. Throughout the season, the couple starts to navigate the real-world challenges of dating someone who comes from a very different background. Penny, the outgoing, aspiring actress with street smarts, and Leonard, the brilliant but insecure physicist, often clash when their values or experiences just don't align. There are a few bumps along the way. Penny lets an ex-boyfriend crash at her place without telling Leonard, which obviously is going to spark jealousy.
It's my friend, it's my couch, and it's my freaking life.
It's also your role.
The season also marks a subtle shift in the group's dynamic. Leonard and Penny essentially become Sheldon's surrogate parents, managing his quirks, soothing his meltdowns, and balancing their romantic life around his rigid routines. In a way, this shared responsibility brings them closer, giving them something to unite around beyond just physical attraction. Towards the end of the season, though, things get more complicated. Leonard tells Penny he loves her, and instead of saying it back, she just says,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
it's a moment that stings, obviously. Penny clearly cares for Leonard, but she's overwhelmed and not ready to return those words. They sweep it under the rug, but the emotional gap between them becomes impossible to ignore.
Yeah, what? No reason. Just glad to hear you're comfortable saying you love something.
That gap is only widened when Will Wheaton, one of Sheldon's nemesis, manipulates Penny during a bowling match. He plants a seed of doubt, telling her that it would be cruel to stay in a relationship if she doesn't feel the same. That guilt gets to her, and she tearfully breaks up with Leonard.
This isn't fair to you, Leonard. I'm sorry.
What follows is a strange post-breakup period where they act more like divorced parents than exes, especially when it comes to Sheldon, who finds himself caught in the middle.
Okay, then you can take him for shoes.
I just took him for shoes.
Their tension spills into the group, forcing their friends to awkwardly choose sides, but surprisingly, it's Sheldon, out of all people, who helps to hold the group together as a unit. Eventually, Penny starts dating her ex, Zach, but things aren't the same. She finds herself frustrated, realizing that being with Leonard has ruined her ability to find non-intellectual men attractive. She's changed, and whether she wants to admit it or not, Leonard has something to do with that. In one final twist, Leonard and Penny end up sleeping together while she's drunk, showing that despite everything, there are still unresolved feelings simmering beneath the surface. Season 4, gotta go my own way.
Experiencing any tension or awkwardness, it may stem from the fact that Leonard and Penny used to do the dance with no pants.
Season 4 kicks off with some residual awkwardness between Leonard and Penny. After the spontaneous one-night stand, Leonard assumes that it's the start of them getting back together, but Penny quickly shuts that down, clarifying that it was a one-time thing. Naturally, Leonard is hurt, but the tension lingers between them. Throughout the season, not much happens between them romantically. Instead, they are in this strange post-breakup limbo again, trying to be friends with varying levels of success. Penny dating Zach again, while Leonard moves on and begins a serious relationship with Raj's sister, Priya.
How you holding up? Oh, who are you kidding? She's breathtaking.
And once again, it's clear that Penny isn't over Leonard. She struggles seeing him with someone else, especially someone as intelligent and as polished as Priya. And Priya picks up on this. She becomes uncomfortable with Leonard's close friendship with Penny and pressures him to spend more time with her and less time with his usual group of friends.
I'm just saying, how would you feel if I was hanging out with my ex-boyfriend?
This creates a notable strain within the group dynamic, and as a result, the focus of the season shifts away from Leonard and Penny and towards relationships like Howard and Bernadette and Sheldon and Amy's budding connection.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
I screwed up.
Then comes a twist that no one saw coming. In the season finale, Penny drunkenly confesses to Raj that she regrets breaking up with Leonard. The night ends with them waking up in bed together. The implication, of course, is that they slept together, which sends shockwaves through the group friendship.
Oh, God.
Oh, God!
But in a later episode, it's revealed that nothing actually happened. They were both too drunk and just ended up falling asleep. Still, the moment is significant. Leonard is obviously affected by this, but it's just still hinting at the idea that they both have unresolved feelings for each other. Just another layer of this slow burning, will they, won't they, on again, off again shit. Season 5, here we go again.
You mean like a date?
Not like a date, a date.
Season 5 kicks off with Leonard still in a long-distance relationship with Priya, but not surprisingly, it doesn't last. The distance, the lack of trust, and Priya's general inability to fully commit to Leonard all catches up to them, and they officially break up around halfway through the season.
I'm
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Not long after, of course, Leonard finds his way back to Penny. He asks her out again, and to their credit, they both agree to give it another chance, but this time with a different approach. In an effort to avoid repeating the mistakes of their past, they decide to treat the relationship like a beta test.
It could be more like a new version of software. Penny and Leonard 2.0.
In true nerd fashion, they literally call it a beta test and give each other bug reports to point out issues and adjust accordingly. It's oddly fitting and surprisingly mature, but it's a way for them to rebuild trust.
Okay, bug report taken. Next time I will have a better plan for our evening session.
This season shows some real progress in their dynamic though. They managed to stay relatively drama-free and happily date for most of the season. Their communication has improved. They both seem more invested in making it work, not just emotionally, but practically too. By the end of the season, Leonard, being Leonard, jumps the gun and proposes out of the blue.
No, the heat of the moment is, oh yeah, just like that. Not, will you marry me?
Penny is caught off guard and clearly says no, but unlike past seasons, this doesn't blow up their relationship. Instead of spiraling, they both acknowledge that despite the awkward moments, they are happy with how they are and where they are and decide to just keep dating. It's a clear sign of growth, especially for Leonard. For once, he doesn't push or guilt her. He accepts that they're on different timelines, especially when it comes to commitment, and more importantly, he's finally willing to compromise and move at her pace. It's one of the first times we see Leonard truly learning how to be in a relationship with Penny, not just chasing after the fantasy of her.
Follow-up, are we still dating?
Yep.
Is it still weird because I proposed?
Yeah.
Season 6. She loves me not. She loves me?
You know you love him. You look him in the eyes and you say it.
Raj.
Oh, come on, you know you want to say it. Say it.
In season 6, Penny finally begins to openly acknowledge how much she cares about Leonard. With a little nudging from her friends and a lot of introspection, her emotional walls begin to come down. One turning point comes when Leonard's new research assistant, Alex, begins to show interest in Leonard. Penny's jealousy surprises even her and makes her realize that maybe she does love him after all.
You know I love you, so will you please relax because you're driving me crazy.
She loves me.
It's not the most romantic catalyst, but it forces her to confront feelings she's been long avoiding. This season marks real growth in the relationship. Penny starts showing more interest in Leonard's work, even making an effort to understand his work. While she's not able to fully grasp the science, the effort alone shows that she's becoming more emotionally invested in him and in their future. At one point, Leonard moves in with Penny temporarily after a heated argument with Sheldon. Penny agrees, but it quickly becomes clear that she only did it to spare Leonard's feelings. She later admits that she's not quite ready for that step, and Leonard moves back in with Sheldon. It's an honest moment that highlights Penny's ongoing struggle with commitment, which is one of the major themes in the relationship. Things come to a head on Valentine's Day when Leonard proposes. Again, Penny doesn't outright say no, but it leads to another emotional argument.
Obviously, I have some commitment issues.
Glaringly obvious, go on.
She explains that while she's happy with him and genuinely sees the future together, the idea of committing to forever still terrifies her. It's not that she doesn't love him, it's that she's scared of what love might demand of her. Leonard, in a surprisingly mature and sweet move, tells her that he won't propose again. Can we just imagine you're dating someone that has to promise that he won't propose to you? It's kind of funny. Instead, he says that he'll wait for her to propose when she's truly ready. It's a powerful shift in their dynamic, putting the control in Penny's hands, and it shows a new level of respect and patience from Leonard. By the end of the season, Leonard is offered an opportunity to join Stephen Hawking's research expedition in the North Pole for a few months. It's a huge career milestone, and although Penny's going to miss him, she recognizes how important it is. Instead of guilt-tripping or hesitating, she fully supports his decision and sends him off with her blessing. It's quiet but significant moment that shows just how far they've come.
I love you.
I love you too.
Season 7, we're engaged. Finally.
Where is this going? Are you two ever getting married?
In season 7, we see Leonard and Penny navigating the challenges of a long-distance relationship. At one point, Penny begins to feel hurt that Leonard isn't missing her quite as much as she misses him. He seems to be having a little bit too much fun without her, which stings. Wanting to make it up to her, Leonard surprises her by cutting his trip short and secretly returning home. Instead of immediately reuniting with the group, he hides out at her place so they can have some much-needed alone time before anyone else knows that he's back. It's one of those rare, thoughtful Leonard moments that actually lands.
I'm sorry, Sheldon. I should have told you I was back. I just wanted to have a couple days alone with Penny.
Things take a turn during the Thanksgiving episode when they discover by accident that Penny is technically already married. Turns out, during a wild trip to Vegas with her ex-boyfriend Zach, she got married without realizing the ceremony was legally binding.
Penny, you know those are real, right?
No, they're not.
The two have to get annulled, but it makes it awkward. And it's just even funnier because Leonard has been trying to tie her down. Turns out she's already tied down the whole time.
Said yes to marrying Zach, but every time Leonard's proposed, he's gotten a resounding no.
Anyways, later in the season, Penny's short-lived role on NCIS is cut. Drunk, defeated, and spiraling about her career, she impulsively proposes to Leonard. He turns her down, and I'm actually kind of proud of him for that. And it's not because he doesn't love her, but it's because he knows the timing and motivation isn't right.
Did you seriously just say,
Though Penny is initially hurt, they both come to see that he made the right call. The moment becomes a turning point for her. She re-evaluates her path and decides to quit her job as a waitress to fully commit to acting. Leonard is supportive, but it does cause some tension. He feels major life decisions like that should be made together, especially if they're planning the future. And he's right.
would you have asked me before you quit your job?
Yes.
Then comes another blow. Penny is fired from serial apist to monkey see, monkey kill. Feeling defeated again, she tells Leonard that maybe it's time to start making better choices, starting with marrying him. While Leonard is flattered, he is hesitant. He tells her that obviously he wants to marry her, but questions whether she's only asking because she's hit a low point. And I'm asking the same question too. Penny assures him that being fired actually clarified it for her. It made her realize that fame, fortune, and success aren't what will make her happy. Leonard is. And I've got to ask, is she saying that because she doesn't have it?
What's wrong?
I'm not sure. It just feels a little anticlimactic.
It's not the most dramatic or cinematic or beautiful proposal moment, but it's honest and heartfelt, I guess. Leonard pulls out a ring he's secretly held onto for years, gets down on one knee and officially proposes, and Penny says yes. That kind of saved them. Excited, they announce the news to their friends, only to be somewhat upstaged by Raj, who's hit a milestone of his own, finally sleeping with his girlfriend Emily.
You guys propose all the time. This never happens.
Everyone is happy for them, except of course Sheldon, who feels rattled and overwhelmed by all the change happening. In true Sheldon fashion, he runs off, setting the stage for more shifts in the group dynamic. Season 8. We're engaged, but when's the wedding?
So when do you guys plan on getting married?
We're not sure.
In Season 8, Leonard and Penny spend most of their time engaged, though notably, they're not making much progress in actually planning a wedding. It's Sheldon who calls attention to this, naturally inserting himself in something that is really none of his business. As usual, the relationship faces a few bumps along the way.
And I could make the case that you two aren't moving forward in your relationship.
But beyond the usual drama, this season marks a notable shift in their dynamic. Penny officially gives up acting and takes a new job as a pharmaceutical sales rep. Not only does she thrive in this new role, but she quickly starts earning more money than Leonard.
And I really appreciate it, but now I don't need it, so there you go.
While it's a win for Penny professionally, it also adds a new layer of tension to the relationship. Finances now becoming another thing for them to navigate and argue about. One of the standout moments comes during a dinner with Sheldon and Amy, when the conversation unexpectedly turns into a debate between who's the better couple. On paper, Amy and Sheldon seem like the more solid match. They know each other better, They have routines, structure, but Penny voices a real concern.
That we're engaged and have nothing in common, and it scares me.
It's a vulnerable moment, and Leonard is quick to offer her reassurance, providing the emotional support that's become a quiet strength in the relationship. Ironically, this exchange is what leaves Amy feeling a bit envious, realizing that even though her relationship with Sheldon is more structured, it lacks the emotional intimacy that Sheldon and Penny occasionally show.
It would make me so happy if you said things like that.
By the end of the season, overwhelmed by the idea of planning a traditional wedding, Penny and Leonard decide to elope to Las Vegas.
You saying you want to get married?
Vegas isn't that far away.
But just before tying the knots, Leonard confesses that during his North Sea expedition, he drunkenly kissed another woman, and this is something Penny didn't know about until that very moment. She's understandably hurt, and it casts a shadow over what should have been a joyful milestone. But still, despite her reservations, she chooses to go along with the wedding. Season 9, guess who finally got hitched?
Kind of promised your mom we'd have another wedding ceremony so she could attend this time.
Season 9 picks up right where Season 8 left off, with Leonard and Penny in Las Vegas getting married. During the quick ceremony, Leonard pulls out a heartfelt, pre-written set of vows that perfectly captures his love for Penny.
I'm in space to create us so that we could be together and make each other whole.
Penny, on the other hand, didn't come prepared, so she wings it, reciting the lyrics from You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story.
Is that the song from Toy Story?
He loves that movie.
I do.
Surprisingly, it hits Leonard right in the feels and it tears him up. It's goofy, it's unexpected, and weirdly sweet because it just shows that she knows him really well. Following the wedding, Penny discovers that Leonard still works with the woman he kissed, and it causes further tension for the newlyweds. During a chat with Mandy, the co-worker Leonard kissed, we learn that she's not even really attracted to Leonard and barely remembers nor cares that she kissed him. From this, Leonard concludes that maybe he was just trying to sabotage his wedding as he thinks he is not good enough for Penny. Penny also admits overreacting, fearing that Leonard will leave her for someone smarter. In the end, they both agreed to abandon their fears and embrace their happiness.
But we stop being so scared of losing each other and just be together.
As the season unfolds, they begin the slow process of adjusting to married life. They are technically living together, but only part-time.
Well, honey, now that Leonard and I are married, it kind of makes sense that we actually live together.
During the day, they stay in Penny's apartment, but at night, they sleep in Leonard's old room across the hall to avoid disrupting Sheldon's routine too abruptly. It's kind of an awkward arrangement, but it works for them, and it speaks to how well their relationship still revolves around managing Sheldon's needs.
I think we'd make amazing parents.
There's a brief conversation about having kids. Leonard is clearly open to the idea and insists that they'd make great parents. Penny, however, admits that she is just not ready. It's not a dramatic moment, but it's one of those first times we see them starting to talk about their future beyond just coexisting.
What are you gonna do?
I'm going to find her and ask her to marry me.
Still, the relationship takes a bit of a backseat in the season as the show shifts more to focus on Amy and Sheldon's evolving relationship. By the season's end, Leonard's mother comes to town, and Penny makes an effort to bond with her, though it proves difficult.
Do you even know what an insult is?
Example would be you're marrying my son and not inviting me or even telling me the wedding was taking place.
The awkwardness around their impulsive Vegas wedding still lingers, so together they decide to do a redo wedding, this time with friends and family, and it's the kind of celebration that they didn't give themselves the first time around.
This last year has shown me that I also love being married to you.
Season 10, guess who got married again?
Who are you?
I'm her husband.
No, you're not.
Season 10 kicks off with Leonard and Penny's official wedding ceremony, this time with all their friends and family present and Bernadette officiating. Of course, it wouldn't be a big bang event without a little chaos. Sheldon's mom hooking up with Leonard's dad makes things particularly awkward and tense. Still, the wedding itself is surprisingly sweet. Penny shares how happy Leonard makes her, while Leonard expresses his awe that someone like her would choose to be with someone like him. So much so that he didn't even care to question why. With the do-over ceremony behind them, this season also marks a major milestone. Leonard and Penny are finally moving in together for real. Amy takes Penny's old apartment with Sheldon, and the newlyweds settle into Leonard's place.
15 years from now, we'll make guacamole together.
Leonard, please, let me go.
There's a funny episode where Penny attends a comic convention to sign autographs for her campy horror film, Serial Apist. The fans are starstruck, not by her fame, but by the fact that she's married to Leonard. The running joke, no one believes a nerd pharmacist like him ends up with a beautiful, successful woman like her.
Is she just with you because you're rich?
She makes more money than I do.
But underneath the laughs, cracks start to show. Mid-season, Penny voices a real concern. She feels like Leonard has stopped putting in effort into the relationship. Meanwhile, Leonard feels like he's the only one trying. To resolve this, they do something very them. They ask Sheldon to help them draft a relationship agreement, inspired by the one he has with Amy, hoping some structure will reignite their connection.
I remember signing our first relationship agreement.
You seem to be forgetting the no nostalgia clause.
Overall, season 10 shows a couple settling into their rhythm. Despite the friction, there's a sense that Leonard and Penny are solid, confident, and ready to handle whatever comes next. Season 11, fuck them kids.
Surprise!
Oh, crap. Is it our anniversary?
No, wait.
In season 11, not much shifts dramatically for Leonard and Penny. By this point, they are settled into the routine of married life. And while that's realistic, it also leans into the standard sitcom couple trope. A safe, little boring, and coasting on stability. Penny seems genuinely content. She enjoys the life they've built, the comfort, the money, the freedom. She is in no rush to follow the traditional path of buying a house and starting a family.
Guess it feels like everyone's moving forward and we're stuck.
The difference in their timeline becomes a recurring tension point throughout the season. To her credit, Penny isn't portrayed as careless or immature, just clear about her priorities. She values her autonomy and isn't interested in conforming to someone else's idea of what a grown-up marriage should look like. Meanwhile, Leonard's desire for kids and long-term milestones is presented more as quiet longing than an urgent demand. Still, they ultimately agree that waiting until both of them feel ready is the healthiest choice.
Oh, you love me so much.
I married you, jackass.
There is one standout moment though. In an episode where they stumble upon an old video of Penny, drunk but sincerely expressing how much she loves Leonard, it hits an emotional chord. For Leonard, who often struggles with feeling secure in their relationship, it's needed reassurance. It reminds him, and maybe the audience too, that despite their differences, there is real love at the foundation of their relationship. Season 12, Happily Ever After. With kids?
Yesterday when we were talking about having kids someday.
Yeah?
Well, what if it wasn't someday?
As The Big Bang Theory enters its final season, Leonard and Penny find themselves reflecting on their journey, how they met, their first kiss, and the unexpected path their relationship has taken. There's a sense of nostalgia, paired with tentative glimpses towards the future. Penny, while clearly bored and disillusioned with her pharmaceutical sales job, somehow ends the season having made peace with it, or at least finding some version of joy in the stability it brings. Meanwhile, Leonard finally shakes off his passive tendencies and begins to assert himself more at work, stepping into a leadership role at the university. After babysitting Howard and Bernadette's daughter, the topic of children resurfaces once again. Penny confesses she feels like she'd make a terrible mother, while Leonard opens up about the quiet sadness he feels, like not having kids is just one unchecked item on his bucket list.
You're really okay with this?
I am.
What's this Leonard says about you not wanting to give me grandbabies?
He might feel differently. Bye.
Kind of like never owning a Batmobile, which she eventually rents for him for a day. And yeah, again, she ate with that one. It was genuinely sweet. Throughout the season, the kids' conversation resurfaces multiple times, and each time Penny is firm. She doesn't want them. For once, it felt refreshing to see a woman in a sitcom hold that boundary without shame, without compromise.
Tell me what?
I'm pregnant, Sheldon.
Until the finale hits. Out of nowhere, we're told Penny's pregnant. And not only that, she's happy about it and she's looking forward to starting a family with Leonard. Honestly, don't think I'm really here for it.
And that is how a short asthmatic scientist landed a stone cold fox.
So now that we've done a recap of the relationship from season to season, we can go into the topic of this video, addressing why I think they're a terrible endgame couple.
I'm the one who's made all the effort in this relationship since day one. Please tell me what more I could do.
I think it really started to click for me in the later seasons when it became painfully obvious that Leonard and Penny's relationship was genuinely more one-sided. Leonard is constantly putting in all the effort, goes out of his way to show he cares, planning dates, giving gifts, supporting her dreams, while Penny mostly just tolerates it. It felt less like a partnership and more like Leonard wore her down until she finally gave in. There's arguably some love there for Penny, but ultimately, she settled because he was just there and wore her down over time. Take that one episode where it's revealed that Penny doesn't even know Leonard's birthday, or that Valentine's Day episode where her present to him was flowers and a box of chocolates that she already eaten from. Like, come on. And it even came free from a gas station. But then she turns around and complains that he takes her for granted and should be putting in more effort. Really? It says a lot about the dynamic. She's so used to Leonard blindly adoring her and worshipping her that the second he stops bending over backwards, she's confused. And I hate the show for making me side with a man.
Flowers and chocolates?
Don't be surprised if you find 5 chocolates missing and 3 gross coconut ones with a bite taken out.
Now I get it, it's a sitcom. The humor is supposed to come from the mismatched pairing, but it's the way the relationship is framed. It just doesn't sit right. Other sitcoms like Modern Family or Brooklyn Nine-Nine manages to be funny and show healthy, balanced relationships. But with Leonard and Penny, I don't know, it's lazy. They could have given us something deeper, something more believable, but he just leaned into the tight trope of hot girl stuck with nerdy guy without giving the relationship enough substance to justify it, at least in my opinion.
Maybe this is a new, better, boring kind of love. I don't know, I've been in love before, but it felt different.
In the beginning of the show, Penny was vibrant, dreaming of acting, taking risks, unapologetically herself. But by the end of the series, she settled. Settled in her career, settled in her marriage, settled in her identity. Penny never really wanted to marry Leonard because she was in love with him. She did it because he was there, and it shows, often.
No, I take it back. Don't say it. Just hate me, but stay with me. It worked for my parents.
I'm sorry, but every time a female character says she doesn't want kids, stands firm in that choice, then gets accidentally pregnant, only to magically embrace it, an angel loses its wings, I don't think it's that empowering or shows growth. It feels more like erasure. Penny spent seasons standing in her truth, only for the show to undo it in a single episode. It sends a message, intentionally or not, that a woman not wanting children is something to be fixed, that Mother Nature is ultimate and the inevitable happy ending. What's especially frustrating is that Leonard has finally accepted her choice. They had reached a new understanding, a mature one, but the show undercuts that emotional progress with a rushed, feel-good twist that leaves no time for reflection, conflict, or genuine reaction. Yes, Penny smiles through it. Yes, she tells everyone she's happy. But between the constant vomiting and the lack of narrative build-up, it feels less like a choice and more like another life decision she's quietly surrendering to.
Just because you settled doesn't mean I have to.
On one hand, you could argue that this is just a part of growing up and that's what happens with people, but I don't know. I don't like it. But the more I think about it, I guess I can't confidently blame the show for this framing. But I think even when the show was on air, I do remember the relationship being well regarded and I'm just struggling to understand why. On paper, Leonard and Penny are polar opposites. They don't share interests, values, or even compatible love languages. There's a lack of mutual respect and emotional reciprocity that you'd expect in a believable relationship. Penny doesn't really seem to understand Leonard, and Leonard clings to this fantasy version of her. Now, to be fair, you could argue again that this kind of relationship is realistic. People settle all the time. People get married out of habit or because they are scared to be alone. And maybe that's what the writers were going for.
Let's just get this over with. Am I driving you to the Cheesecake Factory or are we having sex?
But even if it's realistic, it's not satisfying. They were okay as a will they, won't they in the earlier seasons, but once they actually got together for good, it just felt a bit off. Leonard being this needy, whiny lapdog, and Penny just kind of putting up with him. At a point, it stops being funny and starts feeling a little sad.
We could get married.
Because I'm a smart decision?
Well, yeah.
Thank you for saying yes.
No, thanks for asking until I did.
And don't get me wrong, Leonard is no angel either. Another reason why their relationship just doesn't work for me is because when you really look at it, Leonard's main real interest in Penny boils down to the fact that she's attractive and has sex with him.
Often would you pretend to like things just to have sex with me?
All the time.
Leonard isn't the sweet, nerdy underdog he's framed to be. He's jealous, riddled with insecurity, and low-key manipulative. A lot of the things that he does for Penny aren't really acts of love. They're calculated moves to get her to like him more or to show her off as a trophy. He constantly needs her approval. He fears every conventionally attractive man she talks to. And anytime Penny asserts herself, Leonard crumbles. Instead of growing in confidence, Leonard often weaponizes his inferiority, guilt-tripping her, making passive-aggressive comments at her intelligence, acting like her being with him is some kind of noble charity. He constantly pressures her with public displays of affection.
I am not pushing anything.
You are. You don't get to decide when I'm ready to say I love you.
Or pushes her to take the relationship to the next level despite her hesitation, always wanting things to move on his timeline. And when he finally got her right where he wanted, he cheated on her while she spent their time apart messing him. Like, what? The audacity!
I didn't know you could propose to the same person so many times.
You're saying you're not having sex with me, you're having sex with your mother?
But I do think a huge part of why Leonard ends up in such an unhealthy dynamic with Penny, and if we're being honest, Sheldon, comes from his upbringing. Leonard's mother, Beverly, appears to be a textbook narcissist, cold, emotionally unavailable, hypercritical, and obsessed with academic achievement. She never gave him warmth or validation, never praised him, and constantly picked him apart. And being raised in that environment clearly messed him up.
You'd think I'd be used to women withholding their love. I mean, my mother did.
Being raised by her left him with terrible, piss poor self-esteem and this warped idea of what love and acceptance actually looks like. It made him okay with being disrespected and just being tolerated.
I wonder if that's why I have such a dysfunctional relationship with Sheldon.
Being belittled feels similar to him, and safe even, which is actually kind of sad. And if I wanted to give Leonard grace, it could be argued that underneath his superficial attraction to Penny, what held his attention was how naturally affectionate she is. She would call him sweetie, give him casual hugs and kisses, show emotional warmth, even just as a friend.
Amy's with Sheldon, who she loves like a son. You're with her son, who she doesn't.
And for someone who never got that growing up, and doesn't really get that from his guy friends either, it must have felt like water to someone who's been dying of thirst. But the problem is, he doesn't know how to engage with that in a healthy way. Instead of building something based on mutual respect and emotional safety, Leonard clings. He gets obsessive, controlling. He started treating Penny's affection like something he had to earn or keep winning back, instead of just something he deserves by being a good partner.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love your new stuff, but once in a while it's nice to hear the hits. Oh, this takes me back. Leonard obsessing about Penny.
And yeah, sure, Penny might have rolled her eyes at his interest or used sarcasm as a defense. But let's be real, she was always willing to take a step into his world. She watched his nerdy sci-fi shows, sat through hours of conversation about comic books, physics, Star Wars, stuff she didn't really care about. But when the shoe's on the other foot, Leonard barely makes effort in her interest, in her life and her friends. He saw her as a prize, an ego boost. Being with her made him feel like he'd won, especially growing up as a nerd who was belittled and always made fun of.
Penny, after all these years, I still feel like maybe I don't deserve you.
And her being the prize was enough for him. And while Penny definitely has her flaws, making jokes at his expense at any given opportunity, I think she also made a lot of sacrifices in the relationship. I guess you could argue that this power imbalance comes from the writing of the show. From the very beginning, Penny is set up to be at a disadvantage, the dumb, blunt archetype with no last name, stuck in a dead-end job, barely holding onto her dreams. And let's not forget how she's treated by his friends too. They constantly slut-shame her, mock her intelligence, and act like her dreams aren't worth taking seriously.
No, there's a difference between being stupid and acting stupid.
Oh, there it is again. You think I'm stupid.
In comparison to Leonard, whose character is more fleshed out and we have a better idea of who he is as an individual. Over time, it's like she's this young woman who's been molded into his ideal partner, someone he could upload his personality into and make her a whole, valuable person. Her personality, her interest, her entire identity slowly replaced with his. When he's with her, him and his life take up so much space in hers. She's absorbed into his world, and because she has so little going on outside of it, she just accepts it. Over the series, she only becomes a more complete person when she starts dating Leonard, being defined by his life and interest, in comparison to Leonard, who is given more character building story arcs, so we have always had a full sense of who Leonard is as an individual person. It feels imbalanced. Leonard seems to love the fact that she's vulnerable and relied on him, especially as he's a good couple years older than her. Take that one episode for example. He was happy when she needed him financially, but when she started making good money and sold the car that he gave her as she got a company car, he was uncomfortable and didn't really like that.
Maybe you're a little hung up on the money because I'm less reliant on you now, and that's a little scary.
He doesn't seem to like her being independent. He likes her when she needs him, and that speaks volume. He enjoys infantilizing her, making her feel small, acting like his opinion is the only one that matters in the relationship. Leonard is low-key, sometimes controlling, a self-centered know-it-all who always assumes that he knows what's best, not just for Penny, but for the relationship as a whole. And that dynamic, it's not cute. It's not romantic. It's hella toxic.
I'm just making a point.
Is the point that you don't know when to let something go?
Do people. Oh, listen to them. Not even married and the honeymoon's over.
In conclusion, honestly for me, though the relationship had its moments and worked for a good chunk of the show's run, the back and forth, the will they won't they, yeah, it was fun. But like I said earlier, once they got together for real, it became clear that these two don't really need to be together. I felt like the show had an opportunity to explore the nerdy guy gets his dream girl thing in a more unique, dynamic and interesting way, but they didn't. Yeah, opposites attract, but I feel like they could have done more of it. That as the relationship grew and strengthened, they could have turned to other points for the comedy. And in the other fence, they did try and have several good points, but not hard enough, I fear. For every good, sweet, genuine moment, they had like 6 more of them being unhealthy and just unhappy. Even the entire arc where she doesn't want kids, and then a few minutes later, she's more than happy to be a mother. That's not a healthy compromise. That's something that would lead to quiet resentment wrapped in a sitcom laugh track. So with all the glaring issues I've discussed in the video, why did they stay together? I think it's because the writers fell into the Endgame trap. Just like the other show, How I Met Your Mother. The assumption is that if a couple lasts 12 seasons, they must end up together, even if it no longer makes sense. They banked on nostalgia and on audience attachment, but they didn't really earn that happy ending. They ended up in a limbo with the pregnancy that Penny was talked into and a complacent marriage. To be fair, their romance had a strong pitch. Leonard, a genius scientist with no dating experience. Penny, a bubbling actress with zero science knowledge. The opposites, their neighbors, and Leonard falls hard. We get moments of charm and emotional growth, but ultimately, when you peel back the nostalgia, the relationship isn't cute. It's kind of uncomfortable. Penny and Leonard were never toxic in an explosive way. They were something subtler, more realistic, and more depressing. They were the couple that stayed together, not out of passion, or vision, or even compatibility, but because they just didn't want to be alone, or know how to be alone. I guess people fell for it because it feels so familiar, but fiction should challenge us, not validate our worst fears about love. And in the end, Penny and Leonard didn't prove opposites attract. They proved that comfort isn't always happiness. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, this video might be an unpopular opinion, but it's a thought I had and I had to get it out there. You can leave a comment if you agree or disagree. I would love to discuss it more. I think I'm gonna make unpopular opinions more of a stronger focus on my channel. So definitely subscribe if you think that's what you'd be interested in. I'm definitely gonna be doing more couple opinions and more specific character analysis. And if you have any suggestions or ideas that you'd like to see me cover, definitely leave them in the comments as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!